didn't have a lot of money. We were on food stamps, government housing, really didn't live in the best areas, moved a ton, being stung by 53 bees in the fourth grade, or being beaten and falsely arrested by police at 12. Had to be very scrappy, had to be very resilient. You just have to be willing to get back up every day. You have to be willing to be resilient and build determination and grit. I've been always been fascinated with people that are blazing trails. You look at Lewis and Clark, you look at Martin Luther King, you look at all these incredible people that have done something against the status quo. I want to plant trees that I will never be able to sit under.
I hope you can help inspire some people and then share your knowledge with everyone. Welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Malina. Today's guest is someone who turned setbacks into stepping stones. He's the host of the top-rated Blaze Your Own Trail podcast, a globally recognized speaker, and he's the author of his new book, The Life-Changing Power of Adversity. I'm super excited for this conversation, so please welcome Mr. Jordan Mendoza. Mr. Mendoza, welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I'm super excited for our conversation, but before we get started, I just want to let our viewers know that there will be a very fun Would You Rather session along with the mystery questions. Make sure to stay tuned till the end. So we're just going to dive right in. We'll start off by having you, could you walk us through your journey for those who don't know who you are?
Yeah, of course. I appreciate the access there. So, my name is Jordan Mendoza. I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, and I grew up in some interesting circumstances. I was born to a mom that had one lung, so she was disabled for most of pretty much all her life, and because of that, she couldn't really work, and so we didn't have a lot of money. We were on food stamps, government housing, really didn't live in the best areas, moved a ton, and didn't really have any good male influences in my life to start. I had a stepdad who was alcoholic and was abusive to my mom, and so the beginning, the early days were very humble. Had to be very scrappy, had to be very resilient, and also kind of being a caretaker, me and my brothers, for my mom. And so some interesting things that happened because of that is, even though she was disabled, she still showed us a lot of love. She still believed in us. She still told us that we could set out and accomplish whatever we wanted to. And so when you have somebody that maybe you don't come from a lot of money, but you come from a lot of love and support, that really meant a lot to me, and it helped me have confidence and believe in myself, even maybe when I shouldn't have. And it's really proved its weight over the years. And being around somebody that can, be in adversity situations and have health conditions, but she never looked at herself as a victim. She never was a victim of her circumstances. She was still a fighter all the way until she passed away at 54 years old. But, the hand that she got dealt was won't live to 18, won't be able to have kids. She lived to 54 and she had 5 boys. So she was always been the biggest inspiration in my life. And it actually took her passing when I was just 31 years old to start to see some of the things that I went through in my childhood and some of the adversity that I've experienced. And once I kind of rewinded a little bit and started to see that, man, I have overcome some crazy stuff, being stung by 53 bees in the fourth grade, or
Wow.
being beaten and falsely arrested by police at 12, or being in a near fatal accident and almost losing my right leg at 19. And so, but when you live with somebody that's lives adversity all the time, I didn't really identify that these things I went through were tough, because I saw my mom suffer and all the things that she went through. And so now when I speak on stages, when I'm talking about the content of my book or my podcast, I just try to show people that, you can blaze a trail. You just have to be willing to get back up every day. You have to be willing to be resilient and build determination and grit, and that'll help you get to your goals and where you want to get to.
Yeah, it's like when you get into that area that you live in and you live with your mom having to go through what she did and then still working every day makes sure she stays strong for you guys. You guys kind of adapt that mindset that just stays with you for the rest of your life, allowing you to continue growing and doing amazing things. But one thing is a lot of people that have grown, whether it's like a business or written books, a lot of people tend to wait until something big or tragic happens until they start making a change. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a point of reflection. For me, it definitely was. I was 31. I was in property management, managing a big property. I had 23 employees, and when I got the call from my brother that my mom passed away, I mean, it was like the world stopped. Like, and to give context, like I was a big mama's boy. Like I talked to my mom 2 or 3 times a day. I always talked to her. I called her, and then to go to not being able to talk to her anymore and not be able to hear her voice. And so for me, it actually led into a depression that I didn't realize I was in. I was in this cloud. I remember driving to work. I don't really remember the ride there. I don't really remember the day, but I remember driving home, and I was kind of in this fog, and it took really close people around me. It took my wife, it took people in my circle to kind of help me snap out of that. And once I realized I was finally out, it was like I started to reflect. And so I think that, Melina, is why it happens, is because there's some type of pivotal moment that has us start to reflect and remember, where we came from. And that for me is what did it.
But can like people do it without having to go through an experience, maybe get it done before? Like can people like maybe change like, hey, I think I want to change this before something tragic happens. Not like them being able to predict it happens, but instead having that awareness that they can still do something bigger without having to have such a huge change.
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually something that I, used to teach a leadership program, and it was all about helping people understand their personality type. I'm certified in Myers-Briggs, so having people kind of take this introspective look at themselves, see how they're wired, and that's opened people's eyes, and they've been able to take action on things that maybe they didn't do before because they thought they were more of an introvert, but they're really an extrovert, and they've just been kind of living this other life because they didn't have the context, or having someone take an emotional intelligence assessment and saying, wow, like I didn't realize I was this emotionally intelligent, and now I can leverage this new data to go do something incredible. So I think that yes, it can be done without having some major catastrophe or something crazy happen, for sure. But people have to be in the right mindset to think about something like that, and then B, have the right resources to be able to know what to do next.
And when it comes to school, school doesn't necessarily teach us the same things when it comes to when you get into the real world. And like they don't teach us emotional intelligence according to my experience the same way that I feel like I wish I could learn, or other stuff that is necessary for us to learn in our life. But is there things that you wish that schools had taught us, maybe whether it's in more detail or just a whole new topic that you wish that schools had taught teenagers and young kids?
Yeah, well, for me, so I went to school, and I'm dating myself here, but I went to high school in the 90s. Okay, so in the 90s, I've got ADHD, and it wasn't something that was diagnosed while I was in school. So if there was a subject where I enjoyed it, I did really well. I would get A's and B's. But if it was a subject that I didn't enjoy, I would be sent to the principal's office. I would actually be in the halls breakdancing instead of going class because I was just so distracted, and if it didn't give me energy or joy, then I just didn't want to be a part of it. And so I was not a really great student, but I think that makes me a really great entrepreneur, because I've always been curious. I've always wanted to learn, but in the context of the walls in school, that just wasn't an environment for me. I'm more of a kinesthetic learner. I need to touch and feel and explore and see things.
Yeah.
And so if I could pick a couple subjects that would add tremendous value, especially in 2025 and beyond, it's let's teach people, social media marketing, because all of the marketing when I was in high school with DECA is literally the same stuff they're teaching today. Price, product, promotion, people. It's like been around for 3 decades, and we're not teaching people the things that actually move the needle in 2025. Another thing, financial literacy would be great. Helping people identify their strengths through like a tool like Strength Finders would be a great for high schoolers. EQ, like you said, would be huge, and even being able to take some type of personality assessment, whether it's Myers-Briggs or DISC, those things are super helpful and beneficial because they're centered around people taking an introspective look at themselves, their giftings, their personality, or even their emotional intelligence. And those are worth way more than learning about something that happened 300 years ago that maybe is not going to help you in your job.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Even like when I went to grade 9, they would teach us our business work on a Vista computer that had actually came out in 2007. So we're learning Adobe from 2007. We're learning how to use the Word documents from 2007. And it was honestly, it was very slow and I hated every bit of it. Like I was so excited to, I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn some website building. I'll learn a bunch of other stuff, but it's like so slow and so outdated, and when I wanted to bring in my own computer, I had to have my parents involved to convince the teacher because the teacher said, we cannot grade you based on the new and the updated software because it's not a part of our curriculum. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what are we going to learn? You want us to go back in time and then use it? Or like, how are we supposed to use it in the future? Because there's obviously been like a lot of changes. Even when I was using it, the Word documents and PowerPoint as well was has more like less options or more options compared to before, and it's like something that just drastically has changed. But they just don't. They're not teaching us what we need to know, and they're just teaching based on the curriculum, which I feel like really needs to change.
I agree.
Yeah, and your podcast, Blaze Your Own Trail. First, we'll start off with why did you choose the name for it to be Blaze Your Own Trail?
Yeah, so I love this question. And so I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and my favorite basketball team is the Trailblazers. And so Trailblazers, blaze your own trail. That was part of the reason why I picked the name. But also, I've been always been fascinated with people that are blazing trails. You know, you look at Lewis and Clark, you look at Martin Luther King, you look at all these incredible people that have done something against the status quo. They said, you know what? You may say I need to do it this way, but I want to do it differently. And so I've just had this fascination with people that have gone and blazed a trail that other people haven't done. And I knew I wanted to interview thought leaders, experts, authors, athletes, and truly find out the journey to success, not like hear about all the awesome things that they're doing, but what did it actually take? The grit, the determination, the mindset, the resilience, the failures, the losses. That's the really the good stuff that I wanted to extract from my guests. So that's really why I named the show Blaze Your Own Trail. And at the time, I thought for sure someone else had it, but gratefully they didn't have it. And now, 5.5 years later, we're reaching folks all over the world, and it's been such an amazing journey.
That's me. It's been 5.5 years now from your podcast.
Yeah, we launched January 1st, 2020. And, I remember when the show, we used to do, I think, like 30 audio downloads a month. And then now you fast forward 5.5 years later, we do a couple 100,000 a month. And so it's really fun to kind of reflect on the journey of when no one used to listen. And now, I never have a shortage of guests and sponsors. And so it's just cool to see that journey, because I remember what it was like when there was crickets. I remember when, everyone that listened was me and my friends and family. And now the fact that I can go places and travel the country or go into other places. And I actually was in France. This was very surreal. Last in 2024, March, I was in France for a week in Cannes, France. And I was at this event, and I met somebody, and he said, "Hey, you look familiar. Are you a podcaster?" And I said, "Yeah, I host Blaze Your Own Trail." And he pulls out his phone on Spotify, and he is like a religious listener of the show. And I met him in France, right? So that's when it kind of becomes surreal, is when you start to get notoriety or recognition from places that you never thought people would hear your show.
That's amazing. That must have been super fun to have like to know that all like across the world someone's listening to your show.
Yes, yeah, it's very rewarding, very humbling for sure.
And then what separates a good podcast from a bad podcast?
I think that's a matter of opinion. Some people can listen to educational content and be good with that. Some people, it'll make them fall asleep, right? Some people rather be entertained, right? Or get some type of information that kind of keeps them moving while they're cleaning. And so I think that's open for interpretation. I think that some podcasts are purely meant for entertainment, well, some are meant for education, and some are edutainment, where it's educational and entertaining.
Mhm.
Some are meant for comedy, some are meant for sports. So I don't even know if I can answer what separates a good one. I think that's in the ears of the listener.
And then when you started your podcast, did you like what were the changes that you had to make? What was that whole journey? Because you've spent like now 5.5 years doing it from going to 30 downloads a month to like a couple 100,000. What was that whole journey?
Oh man, well, let me just tell you, there's no instruction manual on how to do it. You know, it's just kind of like raising kids. Like, there's no booklet that can just tell you what to do and how to do it right. So it was just a bunch of failing, a bunch of fumbling around, a bunch of testing. You know, I think I started with seasons originally just because other people did it, and then I was like, why am I doing seasons? Like, what's this for? Am I going to stop because I didn't, you know? So again, it was just a lot of trial and error and a lot of just getting around other people that were doing it at a high level, seeing what they're doing, but and then putting my own spin on it. You know, it actually took me over 4 years to do my first like true solo episode because I was so nervous about people wanting to hear me speak, people wanting to learn from me. And what I truly found out since I've been releasing them now is people actually wanted to hear what I had to say. You know, my most downloaded episodes are solos. I've got 150 something thousand on a 3 minute solo episode, and that's bigger than any other guest downloads that I've ever had for an episode. And so, if you're thinking about starting a show, solo is something I wish I would have started a lot sooner.
Oh, that's interesting. I was thinking of doing solo episodes as well, but I just wasn't sure. Is that like something that would be worth doing? Is it something that people would want to listen to? Like, is it like it's my opinion? Would they want my opinion, or do they want people who've actually gone through the whole journey compared to just a 15-year-old speaking? That's what I wanted to see. Like, is it worth
Yeah,
doing it
I was
then?
the same way. I 100%, a
Okay.
thousand, I would say 1,000%. And here's the other thing, that the one that had the most downloads also, I had the most booked calls for services,
Oh,
right? So, because I literally taught on a topic that people wanted to learn, and so they booked a call, and I've had a couple clients come out of it, you know? So you just never know, but you won't ever know until you actually put it out, you know? So
right.
that's my advice is if you're hesitating, then that means that there's something inside of you that people probably need to hear.
And when it came to, copying others, I know they always say that, it's been said that when you find someone that is really good and something that you do, you should copy them and obviously add your own twist. Does that work better than just you creating something based on your own knowledge? Or should you, like, copy someone like, for example, The Diary of a CEO? They are really a successful podcaster and he does a lot of good things. Is that something you wanna listen to theirs and then take what they do? Or should you just be like, "Okay, they do their thing, let me do my own and see if that works?"
Once I started my show, I became way less of a consumer. And the reason why is to your point, I wanted my show to be my show. I didn't want it to be like any other show, you know,
Mhm.
because, you know, I heard people had like music in the beginning. So I was like, oh, let me try. And so again, I did test some things, but quickly realized that like I need to make this my own. You know, if I'm going to do an intro, I want to do it the way that I think about it and want to do it. I didn't want to be like every other show and have the same exact setup and the same exact intro. Now, when it comes to kind of the more administrative things like the show note format and how that things and adding the chapters in, yeah, I definitely would look at other creators and see what they were doing. What were their CTAs like? How much context did they put in there? What did they not put in there? So I would definitely leverage that as kind of a guidepost because in the beginning, again, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to structure things. But now I kind of have my own systems that I've built over time.
Okay. And then now I think just last week you had released your new book, right? The Life-Changing Power of Adversity?
That's it. Yeah, we released that on July the 23rd, and I'm so excited that it's been helping so many people already. It's available on, I think, 40,000 different platforms online. Kindle Unlimited is our exclusive partner for the ebook. So any of your listeners that have a Kindle Unlimited plan, it's completely free right now. If they wanted to purchase the ebook, I think it's just like less than $5. And so if you're struggling with adversity, or maybe you've had some adversity happen in your life and you're like, man, I still deal with this and I don't know how to get past it, that's what the book is for. It's also for people that have maybe been overlooked, maybe they feel undervalued, and they want some great resources on how they can kind of get back to being who they are and being themselves. It's helpful for that as well, but it's really for anybody that is going to face adversity, which is all of us, and wants kind of a playbook on what you do when you do get to those hard times.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations on the book, which is this amazing milestone for you. Is this your first book?
It's actually my second book. The first one I wrote was a co-collaboration project called Brand Sharks. That's also available on Amazon. And then I also was a contributed to another chapter for a friend of mine, his book in 2022 as well. So I have a couple publications prior to this one, but this was my first solo book, and I would say it'll probably be the first of two or three others. I've got a few other topic ideas in mind. So.
That's amazing. What was your, I guess, inspiration to actually write this book?
Yeah, my inspiration for the book was really just seeing so many people that were struggling, people in my network, people in my circle, just hearing stories of people that, experienced some really tough things and were stuck. Like, I can't get past this. My life's not going to be better anymore. What am I going to do with myself? And so I just reflected on stories, situations, circumstances, things where, I didn't know really, like, things were bleak, and I said, you know what? If I can share these moments and these stories, and then also give people resources on how, if they're faced with similar circumstances, how they can overcome it, I really feel like that could be a value add to the world. And then, of course, I share my story, my journey. I give some tips around how to build your business online, some ways that you can leverage storytelling through content to build your brand. So there's other great information that's in the book, but at the end of the day, it's just for the people that they know that adversity can be leveraged for good, but they just are not seeing it very clear right now.
Okay. And then from like your whole journey and when you wrote the book to now publishing it, what has been the hardest chapter that you had to write and why?
Oh man, so I would say the hardest chapter was probably uh, talking about my weight loss journey. So it was April of and I talk about, I won't spoil everything, but basically, my then 3-year old at the time walked in my room. I didn't have a shirt on, and he came up to me and he just said, "Dad, why are you so fat?" And those 6 words like completely rocked my world, because I was overweight. I was like 250 pounds at the time, and I didn't have an answer for him, and that didn't really feel good as a father to get the question from a kid who has no filter, 3 years old, but b, the fact that I didn't have an answer.
Mhm.
I knew something needed to shift, and that sent me on a 70-pound weight loss journey, where over the next year I was able to drop 70 pounds. Added muscle. I changed my diet. I changed so many different things, and so I'm very grateful that he called me out. And I'm grateful that I was able to take it, and I can do a lot when it comes to negativity. Anything bad that happens, I use it as fuel for the fire to help me achieve my goals. And I've always been that way ever since, I was really probably in elementary school. And so that's my advice to people: when you have hard things happen, there's only two ways you can go. You can either let it take you down, or you can either let it bring you up and elevate you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like that mindset to be able to just say that, hey, this is something that's happening that I'm not happy with. I have to change it. Not everyone is able to change it, but those do, they actually feel much more rewarded and happier at the end of it, no matter how long or how much time or how much effort it takes.
That's it. Yeah, and what's really cool as a result of the things that I did is, of course, 70 pounds is a pretty noticeable difference. I mean, I lost literally, I think, like 8 or 9, like, waist size. I mean, it was a pretty drastic change. And so I had a number of people, like, in my circle, close friends, that I've been able to help them lose some weight. Like, I'm like, "Hey, listen, I'm not gonna be your fitness trainer. Like, I don't that's not like what I do, but I will give you the playbook. I will, like, text you and like keep you accountable, If you want my help, I'm happy to help, because the way that I feel, the energy that I have, the vibrancy, because of the work that I put in, I want everybody to experience that. And I, you know, want everybody to be able to extend their life because they've invested in their health, because health truly is wealth. And the more that we can take care of ourselves, especially as a father with 6 kids, I
Mhm.
want to be there for my grandkids, and I want to be able to see them graduate high school. And if I wouldn't have invested in myself and had that slap in the face, then some of those things might not be possible in the future.
Right, yeah, that wake up call is, like, very important, especially health. Health is the number 1 priority for everyone. They have to make sure that they eat healthy, they have to stay active. Even if it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be, like, doing full-on sets every day, but in just, like, a simple walk even helps. I've seen, some of my neighbors, they go on a walk, like, every day for, like, half an hour, and then that's all they need to just stay happy. They say that it's really good for their health, your heart as well. And then if I had to read, whether it's me or a young leader had to read one part of your book, which part would you tell them to start with? If they couldn't read the whole book and they only had to read one.
Oh man, I would probably say chapter one, because it starts off with some racial adversity. And if you've never personally experienced it, and then also the circumstances that it led to, I think it's a big eye opener, just to show you that it's because this is something that it's a story that happened back in the 90s. But you can turn on the news or social media, and unfortunately the same things are happening today. But just kind of giving people context around, okay, when this circumstance does happen, what do you do? And then what also can you extract from these circumstances? Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens to us, we're always dealing with people, and people are not perfect. People are going to
Right.
make mistakes. People are going to disappoint us. And so it's just about, what lessons can you extract when you have terrible situations or circumstances happen, and how do you leverage it to move you forward instead of dwelling and keeping yourself stuck?
That's important. I've known, people who have had moments where, like, teachers, will blame them for no reason just because of their skin color. I've had it happen to me a couple of times as well. It's a little thing for, compared to what a lot of other people have went through, but it's still something that makes you think about it, like, why? Like, we're essentially, we all bleed the same blood. It's all red, right? It's just each person has their own ethnicity. It's their way of expressing themselves. It's something that you can't really change. And it's something that people need to accept and learn that, hey, it's okay if someone has darker skin or lighter skin. And I mean, you and I were very different. I am from, my parents are Indian. Well, they're Canadian, but they were born in India. So I'm brown, and you're from, where are you from?
Well, I'm from America, but my dad's from the Philippines, and my mom was Irish and Native American. So I'm just a big mutt. So,
But it's okay. It's like we're able to speak with each
yep.
other no matter what our ethnicity and our background is, and I feel like that's the type of world that we need to have, where it's okay to speak with people who are from different backgrounds, and to be able to accept everyone. And then now we're gonna get into our mystery question, and
Well,
then
I
we'll go.
had something for you that maybe
Mhm.
you didn't know I had in my arsenal, but that is Apkesa Ho, Mera Naam Hai Jordan.
Oh my goodness,
So there you go.
that
That's
was
that's my
incredible.
that's all I know. That's I've got a little bit of Hindi in me, and that's about it. So
That's amazing. I can't speak Hindi very well, but I was able to understand the second part, not the first part. The second part, because I speak Punjabi, so Hindi and Punjabi are quite similar as well. But that was that's amazing. That's actually really good.
thank you.
That's
Appreciate that.
really really good. Now we're gonna get into the mystery question of what was left out from one of our guests. This is the question that they have for you. Are you ready for it?
Yep. Let's do it.
If all of success disappeared tomorrow, would you still be doing what you're doing today?
Absolutely. Yeah, because what I do today, it helps people. It creates impact. And that's what I want to do the rest of my life, is to coach and train and help people become better versions of themselves.
That's amazing. That's something I feel like is very important for people to do these days. I know that people tend to just get into like a job or do something that they don't like and that they would want to switch it within seconds. But Doing something that you love from your heart is absolutely amazing. And do you have a mystery question for our next guest?
Yeah, I would say uh, if you could be any vegetable, what would it be and why? And
Vegetable?
I'm doing that because yeah, vegetable. Yeah, like if you could be a vegetable. Yeah, I think that'll create some humorous, answers. So
I think that has been the most interesting question. I've had a lot of
there
like
we
a
go.
deep, thoughtful questions, but that one's that's gonna be really,
Yeah.
really fun.
Well, I'm a trailblazer, Melina. We blaze our own trails and do
Create
things
new
differently. So
trends. Yep, create new
yep,
trends on which vegetable you would like to be. Okay, I'm excited to see what our next guest says about that. Now we're just gonna get into the would you rather session. Okay? I'm gonna ask you
sounds great.
three questions and you're just gonna have to answer them as fast as possible. The first one is, would you rather be stuck in a room with 100 hyper graders or on a Zoom call with a bunch of teenagers that are from a bunch of Gen Z teenagers?
Definitely the Gen Z teenagers.
Even if you don't understand half the stuff that they say, because I still don't.
Well, I've got 6 kids, so they can try me. I think I know some of the lingo, so
Okay, and then would you rather have your life narrated by a dramatic movie trailer guy or a toddler who mispronounces everything?
definitely the trailer guy. So it's funny fact is the guy that you hear on a lot of movie trailers for a couple of my podcast seasons, and this will be a little Easter egg hunt for your listeners to go to my podcast and try to find the episodes where I use that movie narration guy for the show.
You
And
do?
so yeah, I used him for I can't remember if it was season 2 or 3, but he's like, "Welcome to the Blaze Your Own Trail podcast." And it's like that movie guy, I hired him to do the voiceover. So,
Oh my goodness, I
a
will have
little
to check that
little
out, and I
fun
hope
fact.
this is gonna be like a little fun Easter egg hunt for our viewers as well. That would be fun. And then now the last one is: would you rather host your podcast while being chased by a duck, or interview your next guest dressed as a slice of pizza?
Oh man. Well, that's a hard one because I'm a big Oregon Ducks fan. So maybe being chased by a duck, I think that'd be a little more entertaining than just seeing some random guy in a pizza costume. So
I think that would be as well. Well, we're gonna end it off with one last question. Not a would you rather question, but just one um um to end off the conversation. The question is, what is the type of legacy you want to leave behind for your kids or for young people who are watching this?
yeah, so I got a chance to interview a guy who built $100 million business and lost it and then rebuilt that business. And when I interviewed him on my podcast, he said something to me that I felt like I wanted to be part of my legacy as well. And what he said was that I want to plant trees that I will never be able to sit under. And that's really what I want for me is I want to be able to share knowledge, share information, so that it goes so far that I will never be able to see the ripple effects or the impact.
Wow, that's amazing. I hope that happens. I hope you can help inspire some people and then share your knowledge with everyone.
Yes, appreciate it. And thank you so much for being a great host, for having me on the show. I hope that your listeners get value out of our time together today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mendoza, for sharing your knowledge with all of our guests. For everyone who is watching, make sure to subscribe and comment down below what was your favorite part of this episode. I'll see you next time on the Young Leaders Podcast.